2023 has seen no shortage of amazing games. If you're really in tune with the culture, I'm sure you're aware that all of our wallets are hurting at the moment. But nothing is perfect. The majority of the bangers that dropped this year have been action-adventure games or RPGs. But what if those two genres aren't your cup of tea? I mean, multiplayer games are kind of dry, and sports games have just become a straight-up joke. Don't believe me? Allow me to kill two birds with one stone. Here's a clip of a recently released sports game with multiplayer. Now, with the EA slander out of the way, allow me to present a solution to my opening statement. Alan Wake 2. It's the sequel to the 2010 Xbox exclusive that garnered a cult-like following over the last decade. I honestly had zero interest in playing this game, seeing as I didn't play the original, but the game just came out October 27, 2023, and it managed to earn a Game of the Year nominee for the Game Awards in December. And seeing as I played the majority of 2023's AAA releases, I had some free time to take on another game, so I figured why not see what the hype is about. Did Alan Wake 2 deserve a Game of the Year nominee? Before I share that answer, I'd like to drop a disclaimer. The following video is not a full review. This video contains some general impressions of my first few hours of the game. My opinion could change by the time I reach the end, so feel free to take everything I say with a grain of salt. And with that disclaimer out of the way, here's everything you need to know before you install Alan Wake 2. The first thing you need to know before you install Alan Wake 2 is it's out now for the PS5, PC, and the Xbox Series S and X. The second thing you need to know is that you're going to be completely lost if you have not played the first game. I'm guilty of that myself, so I took the liberty of watching a summary of the original game on YouTube, and boy, am I glad that I did. If I didn't, I would have been completely lost on what's going on with this story. And that's because there are themes from the original game that carry over to the sequel that'll help you grasp one of the biggest mindfucks of the year. And even still, you might not catch everything during your playthrough, because I had people in my chat at twitch.tv/theblack talking about things they caught in hindsight from watching me play, even though they had already completed the game. Without spoiling too much, there are themes of murder cults, alternate realities, evil twins, and more, and it's all packaged masterfully. Alan Wake 2 is one of the most unique story-driven games of the year, and it all stems from having a strong foundation and atmosphere. This game nails spooky like no other. Horror games don't even normally do much for me because I'm hard to scare, but I haven't checked every corner out of paranoia like this since the original Dead Space. This game's movement is properly paced, the sound is eerie, but more importantly, the lighting in Alan Wake 2 is immaculate. I'm talking about just mwah. This is one of the best looking games of the year, and it's solely due to the game's use of lighting. The way the lights reflect off the walls set a tone that you're always one step away from danger. This game is constantly playing a cat and mouse game with you, so the jump scares didn't feel predictable. Combat is used sparingly, but just enough that when it happens, it feels much more impactful. So you might be wondering, well, then how does the gameplay loop work? Well, from what I played, I'd say like 60% of this game is driven by narrative, exploration, and investigating, and the other 40% is combat. Narrative is done through cutscenes, in-game dialogue, and investigating. The cutscenes are gorgeous, and the transitions to gameplay always impressed me. Throughout your exploration, you will find clues to help you solve your current objective. Pressing select on the controller will take you to the investigation board, where you'll have to piece storylines together to help you progress the story in the game. This is cool because it reminded me a little bit of LA Noire, or if you always wanted to dive deeper into the detective side of Batman, you're definitely going to enjoy this game. Another reason you want to explore is because that's how you find loot such as ammo, weapon upgrades, and lore. That stuff is rare, so you have to take your time to explore the game unless you just want to make the game harder on yourself. The good news is that when you use weapons, they do feel good. There's none of that artificial difficulty here featured in other horror games where they purposely make it hard to aim.
The tea is hot!
Simply use your flashlight to stun, then fire your gun. To me, that made the experience much more enjoyable. But that doesn't mean this game isn't without flaws. I do have some negatives, but just for clarification, what I'm about to say, and I cannot stress this enough, it's just me nitpicking. I'm trying to be fair and I'm trying to be critical. I've got several hours on this game, and at the moment, so far, there's only two things that I can knock on it. The first of which is you play two different characters in the story, and these two characters serve a purpose from a narrative standpoint, but not necessarily from a gameplay standpoint. Maybe the game changes later down the road, but where I'm at, there's literally no difference between Saga Anderson and Alan Wake. Saga is an FBI agent and Alan is a writer. They come from two different walks of life. It would have been cool to see Saga play a little different differently from Alan, seeing as her skill set is different. Instead, both characters just feel like vessels to serve the greater plot, and I think my point is easy to overlook because the plot in this game is so intriguing and it hard carries the gameplay. Now, my second nitpick isn't even really a critique, it's more so of a warning. I'm just gonna be upfront. It's easy to succumb to the hype. I mean, I know this game got nominated for Game of the Year, but the reality is that this game is just not for everyone.
Well, actually, TBH, isn't that the case for all art? It's all subjective. Like, so many of you Marvel drones are drooling over Insomniac's Spider-Man 2. I swear you Sony ponies spend more time yodeling in Twitter spaces about how Spider-Man 2 is gonna win Game of the Year over the masterpiece that is Baldur's Gate 3.
Well, yeah, it's all subjective, but the point I was trying to make before I was rudely interrupted is that Alan Wake 2 not being for everyone is much more obvious. To be frank, we live in a day and age where TikTok, IG Reels, and YouTube Shorts has fried a lot of people's brains. So I'm just letting people know, if you have a short attention span, this game might not be for you. Yeah, they're shooting, but Alan Wake 2 does require you to sit up and pay attention. Otherwise, you're gonna get lost and you're gonna get frustrated. This is a game that requires critical thinking in an age where critical thinking is at an all-time low. I don't even play this game if I'm feeling tired because you have to be in a certain mind state to enjoy this game. This game is like the polar opposite of Spider-Man 2. I could turn my brain off and just enjoy that game, but that's not the case with Alan Wake 2.
Oh, that's a fair point. I guess it's important to inform consumers so they don't end up wasting their money. I would hate for some poor sap to waste their money on Alan Wake 2 when that could have been spent on a game that has thousands of hours of rich storylines and gameplay like Baldur's Gate 3.
You know, I think it's funny how you bitched about how Spider-Man 2 fans never shut the fuck up, but you Baldur's Gate fans, y'all do the same shit.
It's because Baldur's Gate 3 is a masterpiece that allows the player to live out their wildest fantasy. You can go from saving the princess in another castle to fucking a bear. Wait a minute. Did you even play Baldur's Gate 3, TBH?
Nah, not yet, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if I will. That shit is for nerds.
What? Take that back.
I was just trolling, by the way. I might actually try Baldur's Gate 3 after completing Alan Wake 2. Jokes aside, after getting some hands-on time with this game, I can confidently say I understand why this was nominated for Game of the Year. It is a good game. It's one of the most unique narrative-driven games on the market. I personally wouldn't put this in my top 5 of 2023, maybe in the bottom half of the top 10. We'll see how I feel after I complete the game. And that's just because I'm a gameplay first kind of guy, and this is more exploration, puzzle, story-driven type of game. But I will say, listen, if you're more into exploration, story, atmosphere, you are definitely in for a treat. But you know what's not a treat though? NBA 2K24. Since you made it this far, that clearly says you are enjoying the content, so you might as well check out some more of my videos. To the left is a card that'll take you to my latest episode of Shit I Don't Like on NBA 2K24. It is a Chief Keef parody that I'm sure is going to make you laugh. Now, if you want something more serious, click the card to the right. That'll take you to a video essay I did breaking down why NBA 2K24 is officially dead.